Well, I wanted to show you some of the models. This is like 1/10 of 1% of the models I made, but this is kind of like a portable kit that I would take when I had a project or interview that had to be some kind of model. And I'll get closer in just a minute. And this is actually uh, an acrylic painting way back in the day. Self-portrait. So it's kind of interesting. But I'm going to talk about these things. Now, as a museum illustrator, scientific illustrator, sculptor, model, designer, all that stuff, um, you have to do a lot of things and you never knew what you were doing. So I'm going to talk about a few things here. This is actually not real. It's a model, but it's an exact duplicate of an original that belongs to my friend Joe Cope. This thing right here is a harpoon rest. So if you look kind of in the center, you can see that. You can see there's a root. It's a walrus tusk, and it's half. You can see it split in here. And if you look this way, you can see there's scrimshaw. And this is a bowhead whale. You can see the eye right there and the mouth and the blowholes right there. But this is actually strapped on. You can see the root of the walrus right there better. But this is actually strapped on with leather to the kayak and holds the harpoon. And I made about, I don't know, 20 of them. And they were sent to different museums as a teaching kit. A lot of other stuff too, but this is just one. As teaching kits. Yeah, it's just an interesting thing. This looks exactly like the real one because my boss came in to check on my work and I knew he was going to do that. So I took the real one and I put it in between a whole bunch of them already finished. And then I separated mine off to the center and he grabbed that one and he just grabbed a random one in the middle. Well, somewhere in the middle, but missing the original. And he was looking at both the ones I was made, and he was telling me about the weight was different, and it was close. It was a good job. And then all of a sudden, I let him go, and I let him go, and I just reeled him in, and I said, "See that one on your left hand?" I said, he goes, "Yeah." "And see the one on your right hand?" He goes, "Yeah." "They're both mine. The real one's right here." And then he felt embarrassed because that's what sometimes bosses have to do is tell you what you're doing wrong. Here's another one that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, you have, even close up, you would not be able to tell this one from the original because this was all white. And it was my job as a nature figure to actually paint it to make it look like bone and make it look like it's old and oily and that make it look like steel. This is actually just spray paint, silver paint, and dabbed some raw umber or raw ochre, dabbed it on there to make it look like rust. Anyway, so the reason I did it was because it was going to Japan and it was a weapon, so they wouldn't allow part of that part of the show in. And my my boss said, "Hey, if we make a reproduction, will you let that part in?" And they said, "Yeah." So that was my job. The reason it's broken is because I used to show this with my students, and I told them, "This is delicate. It's fragile. Be careful." Of course, middle school students couldn't resist banging it on the table, so I stopped sharing it around. All the leaves and everything in the diorama are handmade by us. We actually go to Africa and Amazon and all these exotic countries. Hang on just a sec. And we make molds over there in Africa or wherever, the Amazon, and then bring those molds back, and we make I want to say plastic leaves and hand paint them, put stems, and put it onto a tree. Sometimes there's thousands and thousands and thousands just on a tree or or a bush. It takes a long time. You can see some of the detail on this. Even the edges are to make it look like exactly like the plant that was in Africa. But let me show you one quick thing. Okay, so this is a cherry. It was for a Pop Tart commercial, And what happened? What happened was um, they were making the commercial, and they were sending people out to get oranges and apples and all this other stuff. But they went to set people to get cherries, and they were out of season, and they didn't know what to do. So they called around, and nobody could help them. And they called the museum. And if you know how movies are made, and you see the list of people, there's a lot of people, carpenters and electricians and background people. It's crazy. So they were all standing around, not knowing what to do, being paid very well. So they called the museum, and my boss said, "Well, I have to put a lot of people on. It's going to be all night thing." And he gave them some astronomical amount, and they didn't even hesitate. They said, "Yeah, we got to finish our commercial." So worked all night. In the morning, got like there was like 30 cherries with stems that the stems I stole from a maraschino cherry and painted them so they looked like the real thing. Took them to the studio, and they were so excited because they looked like real cherries, and got a big fat ugly check. I used to show the students and hand this around till one's middle school thought it would be funny, and he put it in his mouth and he crunched it, and of course that was the last time that ever got tossed around. But just something here. Um, my daughter was a big part of the museum. That's my daughter right there. Can't see it, but it was a red dress, and she was just so beautiful and so prim and proper. It's just kind of crazy. But she was in a lot of magazines, and they used her for photo shoots for a lot of stuff. So the museum became a big part of her life. That's me, the old guy. Just some of the stuff from a whale show that I was part of, the model makers and sculptors and stuff and designers. That's one of my 20th scale right whale with a little computerized thing. And I did a lot of this stuff back here um, inside this case, but it's too small to see. This is another model I made right there of different whales compared to dinosaurs. And this is one of my whales, a baby humpback whale. And this is a minke whale that I sculpted and life size. And I made all the baleen and the tongue and everything inside the mouth and the eyes. And yeah, anyway, it was kind of a big thing. This is kind of what my whale looked like, the baby humpback from a distance. There's some other things I didn't, but like too far away. And then this is that 4-story Anasazi cliff dwelling that I designed and made the models and all the illustrations. It's in a previous video, but all these rocks are all handmade by us. And it isn't there until when I get there and I say, "See that rock there? It's the same one as there. It's a different color over there." And then they get to see it. But there is that cache I was talking about in a previous video, and that's where my daughter's toys and drawings are inside. There is a time capsule, but that rock formation goes up another 2 stories. Just one more little thing. Okay, so this is a spear point that the Inuits throw at their whales or walruses, and there's that little piece right here. That's where the wood goes in, and then right here is where they strap in the leather. So this thing is thrown at an animal, and it has an edge like it, so it gets stuck in the creature, but the wood, ingenious, pops out and floats. So after they do their thing and follow and be pulled around, they come back for the wood, because the wood is the most precious thing in the Arctic. So I'm going to stop it there because I don't want to get too long. Anyway, this is kind of one of the many things I've done. So thank you.